What's up, DJ?
How's it going, man?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Doing well. I'm doing well.
How's your Thursday afternoon, evening going?
It's a grind, man. It's always a grind. Just finished the day job here at 4 o'clock. So the last hour, we're Andrew Harris and myself, our ProPrep Academy. We're launching an exciting at-home kind of performance plan for all the athletes tonight at 6. So
Yeah.
it's busy, but it's good. It's the way it should be. How about you guys?
Good time. You're just doing that right before a podcast. I love it. That's awesome. We're
Yes,
good,
sir.
man. We're grinding here on the AP. We're just like excited to chat today with
Hey,
DJ
bro.
Lalama. Such a cool name.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Who did this stem from? Mom, dad? Who made the decision?
You know what? I don't think I had a name for like the first 2 weeks I was alive, so it might have been a little bit of both. But no, DJ came. My real name's Daniel, and they basically first hockey team I played on. There's like 5 Daniels, so someone got Daniel, someone got Dan, someone got Danny, and somehow I got.
You got DJ.
I got the initials, so it's all good.
Cool. I love it. Well, first of all, thank you for coming on the Athletes Podcast, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime.
So tell me a bit about this Pro Prep League with Andrew Harris. He's a guy I grew up watching with the Lions. Tell me a bit about what's going on, what you guys are putting together.
Sure. So we first launched ProPrep about a year ago now. It was really more of like an inner city initiative, community-based, kind of teach the game of football and just get kids kind of out there and playing the game. And obviously during the middle of a pandemic, it's not a great way to launch a business necessarily, but we saw a void with all competitive football being canceled this year in Winnipeg. And we said, you know what, like imagine being that age and not being able to play football. And, you know, obviously what that means from a physical standpoint, but beyond that, the mental, emotional side of being an adolescent, it wouldn't be the same without sports. So we kind of pooled our resources, our networks, you know, did so in a safe manner, got sanctioning, proper insurance, and launched a flag football league in the middle of a pandemic here. So it was awesome. It got cut a little short there with us going into code red, but positive feedback nonetheless, you know, from most of the members and the parents. You know, we do have a soccer branch as well. So we've also partnered and brought on Desiree Scott,
Nice.
three-time Olympic soccer player, obviously, arguably the best, you know, soccer player to ever come out of this province. So, you know, having her in the fold is crazy, just in terms of the give back and the opportunities, especially for the female athlete here locally, what that does. And again, it just creates this kind of more accessible and attainable platform, you know, for young athletes to kind of aspire to be. So the three of us are working hand in hand here to continue to, again, provide value to these athletes. Obviously right now we'd rather be on a turf field or playing our sports, but we're doing, you know, some Zoom speaker series and bringing in different professionals and launching this at-home program and continuing to try to find different ways to again add value to their lives and create a little bit of hope, I guess right now, when we all need it most.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations. That's a huge accomplishment putting that together. You guys are doing a tremendous job. You got 2 separate divisions. You have the pro side for the more advanced, and then you got the high school, younger age categories. It's awesome. I was doing some research. It looks incredible. Kudos to you. I hope that keeps running on long term. It's amazing. You got a good crew there to start, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I also have to give congrats on your recent engagement. Locked down.
Thank you. Yeah, she put up with me during COVID, so I figured, you know, it was probably better now than waiting anymore. So she's been by my side here the last 5 years, and obviously a lot of personal growth, but a lot of growth together, and you know, just excited to take that next step and yeah, call it lockdown, whatever term we need to use. So that's good though. We're happy.
That's amazing. Good for you. And so 2015, then you guys met? Was that at the end of your time at University of Manitoba?
Yeah, it was last year of college, and you know, I was going through some stuff personally at that time, and she was kind of there to support me. Obviously, turned into a relationship, and we all know what professional sports is and the ups and downs, and flying to New York and flying to Edmonton and Montreal and everywhere in between. So she's been very supportive. Her family, same thing, and again, I'm probably not here in the same fashion without her. So tie the knot, I guess, and bring on the next chapter of life.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's so 2015, 2016 whirlwind for you. You win the President's Trophy as a top defensive player in Canada, first team All-Canadian. 2016, you get drafted by the Edmonton Eskimos at the time. The same year you go then fly down to New York, Giants rookie camp. You're playing against a guy like Sterling Shepard, who's also a rookie in that year.
Yep.
Tell me a bit about that. What was that experience like all in, 12, 16 months?
Yeah, no, it was crazy. And again, you never really know where sports is going to bring you, but I've been very fortunate to have had, I guess, I'll call it a cup of tea, but obviously made it to kind of the pinnacle of football, right? And get to experience that and meet some great people along the way. So, finished up my third year of Bisons, kind of based on some eligibility stuff. Academically, I was already done my program. I fast tracked it. So got put in the draft a year early. Right before the draft happening, my agent calls me and says, hey, the assistant GM from the Giants called. They're interested in bringing you down for a look. And I was actually in Niagara Falls at the time on vacation visiting my family. So shuttled over to Buffalo. Carly and I hopped on a plane. She stayed in a random hotel, probably enjoyed the crap out of herself in New York for 4 days. And I was out there putting in 16, 18-hour work days. And like you said, Eli Apple, Sterling Shepard, those guys were obviously the big money guys and obviously loads of talent. Didn't make the team, obviously, but, sitting beside a guy like BJ Goodson in the linebacker room, kind of picking his brain as again, kind of like an undersized linebacker, what he experienced at Clemson, et cetera. And being able to take that then to Edmonton, who drafted me that same year, about 2 weeks later, it didn't feel like I was really a rookie, even though I was. I'd already been in that pro kind of setting, been in the locker room with, as we're entering, Odell and Eli and Rashad Jennings, those guys are just leaving, and it creates this different framework on what football is and what it means to be a professional. So carrying that into Edmonton, had a couple local guys to lean on, Donnie Mission and Eddie Steele. They kind of took me under their wing and, kind of showed me the ropes early. Ended up switching from linebacker to fullback because Mike Miller and Cal McCarty couldn't keep their hamstrings right. So I was the logical Canadian choice to throw in the fullback spot, and did that for 7 weeks on the PR. And at that point I was like, you know what, shoot, I want to go back. I want to potentially do a master's degree. I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted, master's or study for law school, which is what I ended up doing. So I came back home, had to take a bunch of courses in a very short amount of time to be eligible again, because I'd already graduated early. So there was too long of a window between playing to stay eligible. Came back, did it, somehow did all these courses, ended up playing that year football, and that's when I won the President's Trophy. And probably the most fun I've ever had playing the game of football up until last year with the Owls. But it was just, for me, I'd already been drafted, gone through the stress of, scouts are looking at me, this, that, the other thing, got to prove myself. I didn't have to prove anything anymore. I came home, wanted to have fun, finish up some academic stuff that, was really important to me and my family. And, obviously it spoke volumes, I think, when my product and play kind of did the talking there. And Edmonton called right after and said, yeah, that experiment with being a fullback's over. You can play linebacker now. I guess you're good enough. And it was kind of funny. Went back to Edmonton. Again, wasn't in the cards. New GM. Ed Hervey had just left, and I was kind of the odd man out at the linebacker position there when the last day of camp came around. And to be honest, that was tough. Had to come back home to Winnipeg, sat here for 2 weeks. Wasn't sure if football was still in the cards, if I was going to go to law school now, since I had done the LSAT the year previous. And luckily enough, got a phone call from Montreal and headed over there, and that's where I am now too. So definitely a whirlwind, but like I said, had a great support system along the way, and everything happens for a reason. So just excited to still be playing the game of football and kind of capitalizing on all the opportunities that it provided me.
Yeah, you've certainly been busy the past 5 years. It doesn't seem like you stopped very much, do you?
No, I don't like having all this extra time. This lockdown's killing me right now, so it's great timing for a good chat with you guys here.
It's perfect. Well, I threw on the Habs jersey. I was like, I don't have any Alouettes gear, but I figured I'd throw it on. I'm gonna get a bunch of people chirping me because I'm a Canucks fan at heart from Vancouver originally, but I figured I'd support local. So it's of course, gotta hold it down for you guys. You guys are a good team too. It's all about. You brought up an undersized linebacker, Adam Bighill, who is someone who we had on previously on the show, episode 28, 29, I think. But you guys have trained together. You talked about, how you're able to pick a guy's brain down in the States. Like, who you mentioned previously, but how are you having to adapt? Because that's one of the things that, you know, athletes sometimes get into a rhythm where, you know what, they've got the build, they've got the athleticism, they've got the agility, it kind of comes naturally to them, right? And they're able to play their sport, play their position, and excel. You guys are, you know, prime examples of how you can still play the sport and position that you love, despite not being the ideal size, shape of what they're looking for, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, you know what, I'll give a big kudos to Adam. You know, my 10 games here with Winnipeg last year, he's a fantastic leader. He was a great guy to kind of sit beside and learn how he kind of dissects game film and what he looks for. Because again, every step and every coach that you have along the way is going to alter how you perceive being a pro and what goes into that kind of that study. So, you know, I was very fortunate to work with a guy, JC Sherritt in Edmonton. That was kind of my first glimpse at, you know, professional football. And JC, I mean, obviously he's a coach already. It goes to show the amount of work and, you know, attention to detail that he put into his craft. And go to Montreal, you know, kind of learn more of that emotional side from Kyrese Bear, guy that, I mean, shoot, he was 36 years old and was playing like he was 20. So kind of pick his brain on the physical component on how the heck can you still do it that well at that age. And going to Winnipeg there last year, again, you walk in and Adam's just a pro's pro. You know, he's been there, he's done it, he's played in the NFL. He's, you know, he's had to, again, adapt to, like you said, different ways and different schemes based on his size. But he's a tremendous athlete, tremendous, you know, student of the game. And I'd like to think that, you know, parlaying that information that I learned from him, going back to Montreal at the end of last year, really kind of paid dividends there when I was able to get on the field and finally kind of make a name for myself, so to speak.
Yeah, I think you're a little humble in saying making a name for yourself. I mean, in 2015, you get the Canada West Russ Jackson Award for excellence on the football field, in the classroom, and in the community. While you were in university, you formed the Bisons Against Bullying, Bison Book Buddies, Sports Days, the I Love to Read Month appearances. Like you were the official spokesperson for the local Winnipeg charity. Like what, honestly, you've done so much. That Project Echo for 2 years, you're serving as an ambassador for the Winnipeg Pet Rescue Shelter. You're creating awareness for these pets. Like, do you just crush caffeine 24/7, or what's your secret? How do you stay buzzing all the time? How do you stay doing all these amazing things? Like what's your tricks?
No, that's the BODYLOGIX pre-workout. I'll give them a plug here too. But
I was going to bring them up later, but there you go.
No, it's all good. No, honestly, man, it's one of those things where it really does, you know, take a village to kind of raise a boy. And I wasn't always, again, in the spotlight. I wasn't always the guy that was the captain of every team. It was a lot of hard work, and definitely some people kind of took affection to me and who I was as a person first, and obviously saw some potential. And you know, again, they kind of just gave of themselves and put me in a position that I could, again, learn and, you know, eventually become successful. And, you know, when you look around, again, there's some people that aren't as fortunate, or, you know, maybe aren't, you know, in the right situation at the right time, but still deserve our attention and our resources. And, you know, my first dog I grew up with, you know, had to put him down. I was 16. That was a tremendously tough day, but he was a rescue pup, you know, and I wasn't around when my parents got him, but it was one of those things where, you know, the amount of joy that he brought to my life, imagine if, you know, other animals could do the same for, you know, their prospective owners. And, you know, it was one of those things where, again, a great local shelter here, the very first kind of no-kill shelter locally, and Andrew Cott from the Jets and myself kind of became two of the, I guess, athletes here locally to kind of help them out when they needed it from a financial standpoint. And just tremendous people over there, and happy to be affiliated. And when it comes to charity in Winnipeg, I mean, I'm not sure if you've ever been here before, or, you know, how much you do know about Winnipeg as a whole.
I don't know much about the Peg. I've been there once. I was like 6 years old, so I won't quote any. Yeah.
It's unlike any other city in, you know, in my opinion, in Canada. And it's very much, you know, just a big community, like a big family, and everybody knows everybody. And, you know, it's one of those things where, again, like you want to give back, you want to help out, you see the less fortunate. And again, I'm extremely blessed to have the opportunities that I had, and went to a great school, got an education, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, volunteering at Lighthouse Mission on Main Street, and just seeing the different walks of life and hearing their stories, and, you know, what sports means to them, or what community means to them, or what a, you know, a hot meal means to them. And understanding that, again, you know, you can't really judge a book by its cover. And, there's a lot of layers and a lot of chapters to most people's books. And
Right.
I think for me, it was just the more that I got involved, the more that I was able to understand, what was at the core of people. And again, there's so many unique stories, and everyone has one. And I think, again, it's just, I want to be around those people that care and that want to give back and see this as bigger than sport, or see this as bigger than, my way versus your way. It's a community, especially in a time like right now with everything that's going on, 2020. You need to band together, and some people are strong in certain areas, and you have your own weaknesses, and if you come together, you're stronger, obviously, than apart. So definitely spread myself thin at times, and it's something that I choose to do, but wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, I think keep doing what you're doing, man. It's pretty incredible. I'm, reading that off, I was out of breath after what you do. It's crazy. How cool was it to play for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers? Like, I imagine being born in Winnipeg, that's probably a lifelong dream to be able to play in front of your hometown crowd. I mean, and obviously you've got this attachment to Winnipeg as a city, the province of Manitoba, ultimately, really, because that's what the Peg has had before the Jets came. The Blue Bombers were all they had, right? And they're kind of similar to Saskatchewan in the sense that it's like, that's their core, that's their meat and potatoes. So how cool was it for you to be able to play in front of your fans?
Yeah, it was a little surreal at first. I got clearance from the doc, a day before I got the contract offer to come back from my whole heart condition and shoulder. And knowing that he was the surgeon for the Bombers, it actually did weigh a lot, just in terms of the comfortability of, hey, you know what, I'm not really supposed to play football again, but if something were to happen, at least I know Dr. McDonald's here in my back pocket and can take care of me. So alleviating that stress was kind of the first thing, just to be able to take a deep breath and then kind of understand what I'm getting into. And once you put that jersey on, as a local kid, yeah, it's surreal. It's quote unquote a dream come true. And every time you walk out there, again, it's a bigger purpose than yourself. It's more than what your last name says on the back of your jersey. And walking around and warming up and seeing so many people that have had a hand in getting me to that point. It's football in a sense kind of comes full circle for you, right? And I remember being that young kid and looking up to guys like Kahari Jones, that obviously coached me. And if again, being in my shoes now, if I can toss out a couple pairs of gloves or make a play or be a good guy in the community and be someone that, again, can converse with fans, that's what football's about, especially at the CFL level. And it was a dream come true. I mean, obviously it was 10 games that I'll cherish for the rest of my life. And I hear about it all the time now, because could have won a Grey Cup, and these guys bug me like it's still tomorrow. So that way, I don't want to call it sour, but obviously there's the what if. I'm not gonna lie. And I made a decision to leave to, again, pursue my football career. Because again, personally, our window for opportunity here is so small. And I loved that team. I love the guys on that team. I'm very happy that they won. But for me, I just wasn't, in my opinion, I wasn't maximizing my own potential that I thought I had. And coming off the injury that I did, have, I figured, what, no better time than right now to kind of roll the dice, bet on yourself. And either it's going to work or it's not. Luckily, personally, I think it worked. Obviously, the Bombers, continue to make good decisions there with their roster and win a Grey Cup. And I'm happy for those guys. And had to block my FaceTime account from Andrew there for a couple of weeks. But no, things worked out the way they were supposed to. And nonetheless, it was really exciting to wear that jersey. And in this league, shoot, you never know if that's going to happen again. So just continue to move forward.
Yeah, that hashtag bet on yourself, that's what's on your website. That's what you got everywhere plastered around. Is that come from anything specifically, or just something that you knew, after that serious shoulder injury that you had after the surgery, complications resulting in a blood clot in your lung? Like, is that what came from that? Is that where it stemmed? Yeah,
you know what? I mean, obviously you kind of, in my opinion, right, if you can't bet on yourself, why would anybody else? I mean, that's been kind of my MO ever since, I think professional sports became an option for me. But yeah, it definitely kind of epitomizes what I went through. And, doctors, specialists are telling me, you're done, don't play competitive sports. There's too much risk, too much this, too much that. And for me, it was really, like, I'm taking this kind of in my own control now. I'm going to bet on myself and hopefully that I'm ready and able, and kind of put my best foot forward here. And obviously I think, sports is just a very small kind of microcosm of life as a whole. And if people can, myself included, if you can approach each and every day knowing that you're putting the best version of yourself out there, I think a lot of other people are going to be willing to kind of, grab a hold of what you're doing and jump on board. Because again, if you don't have confidence in yourself, I mean, you might as well stop right now. So for me, yeah, it's something I go by. Obviously, I look at a guy like Fred VanVleet. Obviously he's a guy that kind of termed that, on a more popular level, and underrated guy, been through his own kind of obstacles and was continually doubted and kind of bet against. And, here he is. And, he was undrafted. He asked to be undrafted. I was the last pick of my own draft. So kind of a lot of similarities there. And yeah, like I said, I think it applies to more than just sport, but definitely a model that I hold, close to my heart.
I can't imagine what it would be like to go through something like that, sitting on the doctor's table and having specialists tell you you shouldn't play sports again. You shouldn't go out and compete and do the sport that you love and play. How difficult was that for you to hear, and what were the emotions going through your head?
Yeah, I'll be honest. The first time I heard it, I was on a crap ton of morphine, so I didn't really understand what was going on. I got the pictures of me being basically high as a kite on the doctor's table. But yeah, basically when you go through something like that, I mean, the people that are around you, your family, I mean, they just want you to be healthy, right? There's a lot more to life than football. And I guess that's kind of the first thing that went through all of our minds. And, the more that I sought out kind of second, third, fourth opinions and was kind of doing our own research on, okay, other athletes that had a similar situation, maybe not as severe, but, okay, what did they do? How did they bounce back? There wasn't a heck of a lot of football overlap there, which was kind of the anomaly in the whole process. But it was something where, again, I wasn't done with the sport, and I definitely didn't want it to kind of kick me out and be done with me that way. So I was going to do everything I needed to do. And between the Bombers and the Owls last year, their staffs did a great job making me feel comfortable, making sure I had the medical support around me. Definitely some dark days early on, but the more that I kind of just told myself, like, this is something that I'm going to do, it got easier and easier. And obviously, being back out there, playing, having fun, starting, doing some good things on the football field, it kind of makes it all worth it. And, I'm not going to regret anything. Some doctors are mad at me, just, they want you to listen, but no, I mean, how it is. You kind of chalk it up as it is what it is, and you move forward. And now it's my fault. If something happens, I only got myself to blame, and hopefully it doesn't, but we'll find out. Yeah,
we'll knock on wood for you. But man, that's part of life. There's risk everywhere. You can walk out on the street and get hit by a bus, right? Like obviously, there's some risks that you try and mitigate and you try and move forward and live life in somewhat of a responsible way. But, when it's affecting your life and the sport you love and what you want to do and continue to do, you got to go after it. You got to do what you got to do, right?
100%.
One of the notes that I brought up here, I found so to bring it back, to add some context, you have a bachelor's degree in kinesiology. So you know the body well. You've been a personal trainer for almost a decade now. That's what you did coming back to the peg. You've been working as that in your off season. Your favorite way to sweat, you've got 3 pillars for athletic success: mobility, stability, and strength. You love combining some yoga for athletes, lifting, and then spending time on the turf. Can you give us a bit of an idea of what your training looks like and how you would go through, let's say a typical day when you're getting ready for the CFL season?
Sure. So, I mean, my whole thing, I mean, that's a very loaded question. I like it. You're going to get a long answer, but
that's what we're going for.
No, it's one of those things where, again, you kind of got to find what your long-term goal is, or what that next season goal looks like. And then you kind of work backwards, or that's how my mind works anyway, just to make sure that you're kind of on point. So for me, it's when the season ends, I'm Italian. I like the bread. I like the wine. I like the cheese. I like the Italian salted meats. So enjoy that for a little bit there. And then it's kind of, okay, now I'm back to the foundational phase of preparing for next year. So really just working on kind of movement integrity, assuring that I'm not, hurt, or there's any asymmetries or bad habits that were picked up during the season, addressing some kind of range of motion stuff when it comes to, again, mobility and obviously the flexibility piece, being able to control that movement. Once you kind of have that foundation, I start kind of picking things up with a little bit more, general prep, upping the volume, getting back in the gym, call it a true sweat. Think higher reps, less weight, making sure I can move, and again, continuing to build on that foundation for some strength work around the corner. Once I start strength is typically when I also start running again. So it kind of goes hand in hand there, and let's call that like February-ish. Start getting on the turf, doing some short yardage type stuff, some burst starts. And in the gym, it's really starting, hypertrophy, starting to feel strong, kind of build upon, again, those pillars that you already mentioned and that you would address in those first month or two, and continue to build up some strength, work through all 3 different phases. I like to kind of break things up into eccentric, isometric, and then concentric actions. You can spend some time on all these different tempos. Obviously the body will adapt differently, but it's a great way to kind of, in my mind anyway, template an off season. 1, so you don't get bored, but 2, that you're getting the most out of what you're doing. And then as the season progresses, it really becomes less about what you're doing in the weight room, and more about what you're doing on the field, obviously. So really think about just supporting, your field work in the gym, so less volume, less weight. Sure, your intensity is high, but it's all about speed now. And then obviously that allows you to translate very well into that turf work, and then ultimately, training camp and a football season. That's kind of what I do in a nutshell, from kind of point A to point G, whatever it is. But, I also do play some beer league hockey here in the PEG. We got a CFL line, myself, Andrew Harris, and Nick Dembski. We all play together. So
Deadly.
Yeah, it's a good time. And that's, call it our conditioning for the better part of the winter. Because in Winnipeg here, we don't have grass till April. So it's definitely a fun, fun time, and kind of takes you away from football and the work you're putting in. So those are kind of the things I do to stay right.
So who on that line is contributing the most points? Are you passing the puck to Andrew, or what's happening here? Give me a lowdown.
I gotta say, honestly, I think Andrew's probably the best all-around player out of all.
Really?
Yeah, Andrew's got some talent for sure. Nick's pretty good. I think honestly, like Nick and I, we spent a little bit of time away from the game too. So those hands are always, it takes us 10 games to get them back. And Andrew's a good hockey player, man. It's fun to play with those guys, and we try not to get too competitive, because it is supposed to be fun. But sure enough, three meatheads on the ice, it ends up getting that way anyway. So it's a lot of fun. That's
pretty impressive. You don't see football players, or many athletes for that matter, going back and playing hockey. Hockey is one of those ones that's kind of unique. Players, you grew up playing. Obviously, I'm assuming Andrew grew up. It's cool to, when I'm interviewing these athletes, it's shell shocking for me, honestly, because Andrew is a guy who, honestly, like I watched growing up, he was dominating with the Lions early. Yep. He was playing with that Big Hill team as 2010, 2011, G. Roy Simon, Paul McCallum. So it's cool for me to now imagine you guys on the ice. And it's cool. I love the fact that you guys are able to play, a beer league hockey game and go out and play in the PEG, and you've got boys who are just out there having a good time competing. That's the way sports should be at the end of the day, right? That's what we all play for.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, look, like there's the business of sport, and I mean, it can get ugly and kind of cutthroat at times. And we see that on a day-to-day now in the CFL. And I think anytime where you can just, lace them up and have fun, and just kind of be with the boys, that's what you look forward to. And, we play basketball too. I didn't speak on it because I'm not that good. I'm more of a defensive, hardworking, individual rotational guy. But again, those two guys, they're good at basketball too. They're just good athletes, and it's a lot of fun. We get up to a bunch of different stuff here in the PEG, so it keeps us busy.
Hey, you're a role player. You know your role. You're a glue guy. Every team needs those guys. It's important.
We'll go with that.
So I want to take it back to your time with Western. So you spend a year with the Western Mustangs, red shirt. You go to school in Manitoba with the Bisons. How discouraging is it to go through your first year, red shirt, not play? You go to Manitoba, you're not playing. How do you get over that hurdle?
Yeah, you know what? It was tough. Obviously, you know, I'm again very fortunate. I had a lot of different offers, different opportunities that I could have taken, and Western obviously kind of being the, you know, call it the American college version in Canada. And I have a lot of family in that area: London, St. Catharines, Hamilton. So in a sense, I was going home. Was going to go back and be able to be around family and, you know, take those weekends, go get Nona to give me a care package to bring back. And those are all things that kind of went into the decision, let alone them being a powerhouse football team. And actually, Mickey Donovan, who's the special teams coordinator now in Montreal, he was the recruiting coordinator in the DC when I signed with the Mustangs, and he had to leave with some family emergency stuff 2 days before training camp. So he kind of offered again, you know, hey, Deej, like, I know you're my guy, and I got to leave, and I hate to do this to you as a 18-year-old, but I'll pay for you to go back home if you want to go back home. But you know, at that point, it was too late. You know, I was already here. I was enrolled. I'd paid. It was starting in 2 days. Like, I'm not going to leave. So I put my best foot forward. Ultimately, they brought back a coach that a little bit more old school, went with the veterans instead of the rookies, and he didn't know us. You know, it wasn't his fault. It was, I have a system that needs to get played, and these guys have been here before. So I respected it, learned a lot, obviously focused on school and working out and getting my body ready for whenever that opportunity would come. And once I kind of saw the writing on the wall, again, older guys were going to be playing, and I figured, you know what, you know, for me, it might make sense to look elsewhere. And my roommate, Tyler Varga, who ended up playing in the NFL for a bit, he was also moving on, going to Yale, and I knew that internally too. So, you know, what you knew or what I thought Western was, and, you know, my experience there in the first year, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was a great experience to grow up. But again, there were so many changes, both as a football team, you know, personally, again, you know, having a roommate, your first year roommate, also kind of, hey, I'm out. There was that portion of it from just a familiarity and kind of comfort feeling. And yeah, it came down to Calgary, Manitoba, and ultimately I chose to come home and, you know, save some money, work, and again, kind of take care of myself in more ways than one.
Yeah, important. How, dude, Niagara Region's awesome, isn't it? That's where we are right now, so I had to bring it up.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. Like my whole family's Thorold, St. Catharines,
Nice.
kind of out to Windsor that way. So typically I'd be there every summer until obviously the CFL happened, and you know, that's where I'd go and enjoy my bye weeks and see the family and Christmas, stuff like that. We'd always be out there, and I love it, man. There's like, I love Montreal as a city, don't get me wrong. That's my favorite city in Canada, but you know, to be able to just to kind of lay back and you know, wine country, and it's just a different pace. And you know, obviously having a big family, it's always fun, and a good couple of laughs there when you get to hang out with them. So
yeah, I can imagine. It's St. Catharines got me hooked now. I don't know how I come from Vancouver, but it's I'm here now. It's cool. It's weird how it happens, eh?
it is very weird, no doubt.
We went to Montreal on the AP tour. That was my first experience. Obviously, COVID kind of wasn't a whole lot going on, but it's interesting to hear that Montreal is your favorite city. Is there a particular stadium that's the craziest to play in for you?
Yeah, I wouldn't really say the craziest. I mean, obviously, like Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, I mean, by far the loudest. You know, those atmospheres are hostile as a visitor, and obviously playing here in for the Bombers, it was like you're like, wow, like you got some extra energy there when you run out and you got them kind of screaming and supporting you. But I think kind of like you know, I want to call it like an underdog when it comes to an atmosphere is actually Ottawa.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they've got a great little setup over there, and the way they've got the whole market kind of, you know, attached right to the stadium. And again, they're passionate sport fans out there, and I think that team and that organization's done a great job and giving them some good football to watch. And I definitely enjoy making the trip out to Ottawa, you know, every time we get.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, no, I shouldn't say newer organization as far as this time around. Always interesting to see what it looks like from an organizational standpoint when you try and bring in and see if fans are going to come. Ultimately, there's a risk, right? Those
Yeah, for sure.
The Red Blacks definitely didn't know what their stadium was going to look like on day one, but they've done a great job putting it together. And obviously, I think the CFL is still, man, there's room to grow. And I'm interested to hear your perspective as a player. you know, obviously the NFL is the dream when you're growing up playing football. That's where you want to be. That's where the money is. That's where the best go.
Yep.
How is it a mind shift or a kind of hurdle that you have to get over to understand, you know what, this the CFL is where I'm going to be. This is where I'm going to play. This is where I'm going to dominate and, you know, make sure that I'm the best that I can be. And how do you come to terms with that? Because obviously everyone wants to be playing on that national stage and making millions of dollars instead of hundreds of thousands or thousands, right? It's a shift. And ultimately, how do you come to terms with that?
Yeah, you know what? For me, I'll be honest. I didn't really experience that that much. Just
okay,
being
interesting.
Born and raised in Winnipeg. I mean, the Bombers were everything growing up. You know, we weren't really NFL. You know, my dad. So growing up in Southern Ontario, it's Buffalo Bills. They don't care about the Argos. They don't care about anything. It's the Buffalo Bills, and they'd go across, go watch the games. It is what it is. And he didn't really actually start watching CFL football himself until he moved to Winnipeg when he was about 30. And you know, again, just kind of, I mean. My parents' house is 7 minutes from IGF, and you know, just kind of growing up and kind of seeing the way this community, again, without the Winnipeg Jets, literally put this team and these football players on a pedestal, and you know, the amount of love and support and again, like that, it was just different. And I think for me, that's kind of what football was. You look up to these guys like Kahari, Charles Roberts, Mike Sellers, Tom Canada, Doug Brown. A lot of people that I've learned to again come to and have my own relationships with, but these guys really put football on the map for me. And I mean, obviously, you know, you have your Ray Lewises, you have your, you know, big time NFL guys that you see on Sunday, and you're like, man, like he's just so good. I want to be like him. But at the end of the day, I think my dad's done a great job, and my mom, of just kind of keeping me grounded and humble. And for me, it was always, let's get to the CFL. You know, let's take this as far as we can. I'm Canadian. You know, that was my dream. I didn't expect anything really of the NFL. Sure, if I was good enough to get there, I mean, they'll find me. Luckily, I had Lonnie Mata playing in front of me, and I'm sure that helped when people were looking at tape. But you know, for me, really, it was CFL was, you know, the be all end all, and I was fortunate to get a shot in the NFL, and nothing's promised, whichever way you're looking at it. So for me, I was just excited to take it as far as I could, and the CFL has been more than enough for me, you know, on a personal note. So
that's so refreshing to hear, especially from a Canadian, because you know, man, I'd love to play professional sport at any level. I'll be honest, right? Like, and a lot of people, you know, like I said, they want to be at that top, the NFL, but the CFL is still pro football at the end of the day, and it's still ultimately the top athletes in that sport going head to head and putting everything on the line. So it's cool to hear that perspective from you. I got a couple more questions. Have you had Adam Bakehill's burger?
I have not had his burger. He brags about it all the time. I see it on Twitter about every 5th day when I refresh my feed, but I haven't personally tried it yet.
Is Twitter dying? Do you use strictly Instagram now?
You know what? I'm a big little sports news guy, like stay up to the minute. So Twitter is a little bit more beneficial, I think, in that regard. But yeah, I mean, social media is just crazy now. It's hard to stay up to date, regardless of the platform you're using. So
yeah, if you're not on TikTok, updating every 5 seconds, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Parler's new. Like, man, I don't know what the hell.
There's too much going on. I let those guys that are better and more well versed in that department share the information, and I just get to watch it.
So is that what you're doing then with DJ47 Services? Are you outsourcing a bit on that, or how do you manage that?
Yeah, so you know what, DJ47, again, just kind of a personal project, right? It's call it my name that's attached to it, and you want to kind of have you want to have a pulse on everything that goes on. So a lot of that stuff, honestly, early COVID, I sat there, YouTubed how to make a website, and kind of did it all myself. And you know, I'm one of those guys that I like to learn. You know, I'm not saying that I can do everything by all means. I don't know some of this stuff, and yes, you have to outsource at some point, but I really like to learn the processing of things and how they work. And obviously technology, it creates many layers to that. So DJ47's been awesome, and I think I'm a qualified enough, competent enough strength coach. But there's a lot of other brilliant minds here locally that have kind of come on board, and again, add other branches to what we're doing here. And instead of having to try to be a generalist in a multiple of areas, luckily enough, have them on board. And if I can't answer the question or I'm not the best person for it, it's a simple text, call, email, and these athletes are taken care of from the best of the best.
Good for you, dude. That is so crazy. You're playing football full time, and then you are able to create your own website. You're doing all this extra community work. Like, dude,
fun.
it makes me want to get up off my ass and do shit. Frig. I'm like, here I am thinking I'm doing, a lot. I'm like,
oh man, this is sweet, man. Podcasts are next. I'm gonna call you and you're gonna teach me how to do all this stuff. So,
dude, you let me know if you're in the Niagara region. I will help out you. Whatever you need, I will. I'm more than willing. I think I got something going here with Pep Hockey, so we're just having fun. Like, it's cool. I use the word cool too much. Holy Dinah. But it is. I love being able to just have conversations and learn from people like you. Obviously, clearly, you've got some incredible insight and knowledge as to how to schedule your day and how to work towards building and creating what you've done. And like, to me now, this will be episode 60, 61. And like, it's crazy just because I have the ability. I'm so fortunate to just listen and talk to you guys. And then, I'm sharing it with the world, and I said it previously, but whether people listen or not is completely up to them. I don't try and push it. I want it to be organic, and I want people to enjoy listening to and learn from these conversations ultimately, because that's what I want to do, share the insight that I'm getting. And
you're doing a great job, man. You are. So kudos to you. You should put yourself a little higher standard there. You're doing a great job.
I appreciate it. We're at baby steps here. We're moving forward, but
slow and steady.
You got to enjoy the process, right? I think a lot of people miss out on that. It's the same with you when you're talking about making sure that you're focusing on your mobility, you're focusing on the little things on the day-to-day that are going to make you incrementally better. Baby steps, 1% better every day is going to lead to some pretty crazy results long-term.
For sure.
What happened when you changed from number 25 to 47? 25 is my number. I was hurt when I saw you changed it over. What happened?
So 25 was the number I wore in college. To be honest, when I got drafted at Edmonton, they gave away the 25 to a younger kid. When I chose to come back to school, the number was already given away. And just as an older guy, I was like, you know what? It is what it is. Not worth fighting for. So Jans, our quarterback, had left. I knew number 10 was sitting there. And I said, you know what? That's a nice number. So I kind of took that. Then again, when Montreal signed me in the pros, it was very slim pickings. It was 22 or 47. I figured it was more of a boxy type figure, and the 22 might make me look a certain type of way. So that 7 with that nice slant in might make me look a little more slim than I am. So the 47 and shoot, here we are freaking 4 years later now, just still rocking it. So
hey, it's good. It's a good number. And you know what? Clearly it's working. You're hiding that 6 foot 220 figure nicely, and it's looking good. Eh?
Yeah, that's what it is.
I love it. Man, the way we wrap up every episode is we ask the athlete that we have on, what their biggest piece of advice, tips, tricks that they would give to the next generation of athletes. I'm trying to basically create a platform here for athletes to come learn from professionals. And I want to be able to share your stories and what you have accomplished and what you've learned throughout your time. So what would you give, DJ Lalama, to the next generation?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's twofold, honestly. We've kind of already talked on the bet on yourself piece, and I'm not going to beat a dead horse in that sense, but definitely, again, if you can't, again, be confident in yourself, your own abilities, be able to control what you can, I mean, why should anybody else give you a sniff? Why should anybody else, again, kind of put their name on you, if you can't put your best foot forward there. So bet on yourself, continue to do that, whatever that means for you. Regardless, sport, life, otherwise. But I think really, this stuck with me when I was in high school. It was kind of, how do you want to be remembered and what do you want your legacy to be? And like I said, sports is obviously such a small window of our lifetime, and as exciting and as busy as it can be, there is more to it than sport alone. And for me, it's really about being a high character person and a good person first. I don't want football to define me. I don't want sport to define me. I'm DJ, and that's just something that I do. And I think for people that are out there, it's regardless of what level you're at, regardless of where you're at in your life, what obstacles you're facing, where you are in your career, what do you ultimately want your legacy to be? And if you can sit there and you can kind of articulate that on a pen and paper and really kind of drive your your everyday action through that mindset. You know, I think collectively as a community, as a country, as a world, I think we're going to be in a much better place because, again, we've sat there, we thought about it. Now we're going to do anything we can to attain that. And again, when we sit there and we talk about this conversation now in terms of next generation, shoot, if I can leave, you know, this generation a little bit better than I found it, the next generation can do the same and leave a better legacy than I left, and continue to kind of uphold that standard. Shoot, man, I hope I'm around in 50, 60, 70 years when we get to see kind of the final product that way.
That was incredible. Every time I ask that question, I don't know what to expect. And you've clearly got an incredible amount of humility, knowledge, and you seem like an absolutely incredible person. So the Montreal Alouettes are extremely fortunate to have you in their organization. The community of Winnipeg is extremely fortunate to have you as a part of their community. And you know what? I can't say enough good things about you, man, after this chat for 45 minutes. It's pretty cool. It's special. I really appreciate you coming on the Athletes Podcast, man. I look forward to maybe snapping the puck around out on the ice, see if you and Andrew could bury the puck on me. And but you know what? Good luck next year with whatever happens. I really look forward to following along with what you do. You're doing amazing things, DJ.
I appreciate it, man, and thanks for thinking of me. And like I said, this is just the first conversation. You ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out, and we're all in this together, man. I hope you and the family stay safe.
Appreciate it. You as well.